you talk about how close you and Anthony are. So when you see him go out there and beat a guy like Kollin Moore caliber guy who is, not a pushover. Kollin Moore most likely would have won a national title the COVID year. So what was that like for you going out, being able to see your best friend go out there, beat Kollin Moore, and then the next year go out and win a national title? What was going through your mind while all this is happening for, kind of somebody who kind of got the short end of the stick his first 2 years at Penn State?
For sure. With Anthony, it was just such an interesting and long, tough process because it's kind of funny. So the coaches assigned us as roommates from the jump. Like our summer session freshman year, the very first time we stepped onto campus, they were just like, put these two together. And for some reason, like they just got it perfect. And we immediately clicked and we were on the same page with everything. And, after that, I lived with them for almost 7 years. So, until I got married at, like a year and a half ago, we still lived together. But yeah, that's just like my dude, my ride or die. Like at the end of the day, like, I know we got each other. And I think for a long time, it was really just me and him who knew his potential. Even our coaches like didn't really know because he hadn't really competed. But I'd wrestled with him. I'd been with him every single day. And when you're with somebody that much, you just know you start to learn like what they're capable of. And for him, just dealing with injury after injury, surgery after surgery, having to come back from that, it like broke my heart seeing him not be able to compete because I know how hard he worked and how bad he wanted it. And he just did everything right. So, it was like one of those things that when he did go out there and win, it was like, I knew he was going to, but to see him do it felt so good just because he hadn't had that chance before. Not being able to wrestle his first few years, just like literally, not even getting matches because he's dealing with injury. And then to see him come back, beat the number one guy in the country in Kollin Moore in the sickest environment ever, sold out rec hall, and probably the biggest wrestling duel in the history of the sport. Like such an awesome thing. And then, to continue that next year and beat, arguably one of the best NCAA wrestlers of all time in Gable Steveson, to be able to beat him twice back-to-back in the Big Tens and the Nationals and win. Just like he just, more than anybody, he deserved it. And he had his shot, his one chance, and he freaking absolutely killed it. So I'm so proud of that dude. Always going to be proud of him. And, he's got bigger and better things on the horizon too. So, he's going to transition to MMA, same as me, and he'll hopefully have his first fight by the end of the year. And yeah, just, that's my brother. And I was always love to see him succeed because he deserves it.
What was this environment kind of like because I know when he beat Gable Steveson, they kind of just like broke the internet. Like everyone's like, this dude's going to be 4-time national champ. He's going to make the world team right out of college, knock off Wisdowski. Those losses to Cassar may have like thrown him off a little bit, going into the quiz matches. But you see where Gable Stevenson's developed now. It's like looking back on that, it feels kind of surreal that a guy who was like a backup 97-pounder knocked off possibly one of the greatest wrestlers to ever come through this sport.
Yeah. It's such a weird thing because, again, still like people don't really see how good Anthony is. Like they know he beat Gable, they know he won the nationals and stuff, but they didn't get to see enough of him. Like he just had a tough go at it with injuries and stuff like that. So he's a guy who easily could have been multiple time national champion and won tons and tons of matches, but his opportunity was just smaller. It was just limited relative to most other people. He had one shot and he made the most of it and won. And so, ton of respect to Gable. He's obviously a beast. But just the fact that I think Anthony still is incredibly underrated for how good he was. And people say like, oh, if Cassar and him would match up again, it'd be different. But we'll never know. When at the end of the day, we won't know. And for me, I know a lot of things that go on in the wrestling room, matchups with Anthony and big name guys who, I'm not trying to name drop or anything, but the matches went very well for Anthony. Never in from what I've seen, behind the scenes, his potential, like it's definitely, I think people write him off quick, but I know where he was at relative to not only Gable, but everybody in the rest of the competition, you know, in the world. And for me and him, we know that he just never really got to prove it, dealing with injury and stuff like that. But, you know, now it's on to bigger and better things. He's going to be moving on to MMA, and he'll be UFC champ here shortly, same as me. So we'll get to have another adventure together.